today learned actually is that how actually pre-trial detention in the US works. From the both of the witnesses, both of them confirmed that in the pre-trial detention prisons in the US, it's actually difficult to gain access to specific medical access, psychiatric access, which actually Julian Assange would need, and this actually then would again face actually would again lead to the reality that actually Julian Assange faces suicide, because this is what we actually learned last week, that this is really a real risk. And if in the US actually there is no medical access really guaranteed in the sense, it leads actually to the one and only reaction that Julian Assange should be released here and today and should not be extradited. But from a legal point of view, today it was interesting as well to listen and to hear that actually the case of Julian Assange on the one hand is the case of Julian Assange, but in the past there have been some rulings of the European Court of Human Rights on how or whether on the US and the situation of prisons in the US and on the difficult situation in the US, and where actually the European Court of Human Rights took a stand on the difficult situation in US prisons, which should not, which in the end should not the UK extradite Julian Assange to the US, because already in the past there have been rules by the European Court of Human Rights which were very clear that actually pre-trial detention in the US is not always complying with international human rights standards. I think this is important to acknowledge, and this I think why today actually the two witnesses have been crucial. I'm not commenting on what John already said, that actually the only strategy by the prosecution questioning the independence of witnesses, I would say, is in the end a very weak strategy from our perspective, because if you don't have any argument really commenting on the actual substance, what actually today was a strategy by the prosecution, it's weak if you're only arguing and questioning the witness. And so that's why I would say today was another day of witnesses showing that Julian Assange needs to be released immediately, and if this court here is independent, I think the only decision compiling all the testimonies for the judge could and should be that Julian Assange should be released immediately and should not be extradited.
We saw the prosecution today compare Julian Assange, a non-violent intellectual journalist, to somebody that has been convicted for several lifetimes for trying to blow up a plane. And they actually compared the treatment of both as they would be alike.
This was indeed actually quite disturbing, actually, comparing Julian Assange to actual terrorists people who consciously made exploding people, consciously made basically killed people. And I mean, all of us here know that Julian Assange published documents which the public needed to know about, and I think that's why it was really disturbing comparing Julian Assange to actual terrorists who made people kill. And I think this, in the end, I think it's unacceptable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.